Good morning, fret friends, and it is new project day, and what a beautiful guitar we're having today. And what can I say about this guitar? The model of the guitar I'm going to show you in 1 second is not a stranger to this workshop, so I'll show you, without further ado, I'll show you exactly what it is. And there you go, it's a PRS Mark Holcomb. My absolute favourite guitar. I love this guitar that much, not this one in particular, but I love this model of guitar that much, I'm actually buying myself one. And I've been talking to a friend of mine who works at PMT to see what kind of a deal he could get me on one of these guitars. It's currently up for £899 and I don't want to pay that, and I'm quite happy to wait for the sales, January sales or late December sales, to see what price I can get one for. I'd have thought if I could have got a brand new one for around about £750, I would not hesitate to go and buy one, but let's see what happens. This one again, beautiful. It's got the Holcomb burst. It looks grey and it's got a red burst. It's not really grey, it's many colours, but I don't particularly, it's not that I don't like this colour, I do like this colour, but I don't like it as much as the 2017 dark Holcomb burst, which basically is a dark brown with the same maple. Is it spalted maple? This spalted maple. This is a veneer, it's not a top. It does have a maple top, but it has a veneer on the top as well. And this is a Holcomb burst, but it's not the Holcomb burst I particularly want. Now this comes in quite a few different colours, but mainly over in England, Europe, you can get there's a new blue one, limited edition come out. There's a grey satin finish one, I don't like either of those. There's this one, which is the Holcomb burst, and there's a hideous yellowish burst one in the American version. But there's also you have this Holcomb burst in a dark brown, which I absolutely adore, and it is the one I want, and I will not buy another model. Even this, I've been offered two of these exact same ones for £600. In fact, there's one on eBay at the moment, no bid's £500, and I'm still going to wait for the brown one. I also do want the version 2 with the Mark Holcomb on the truss rod cover, not sprayed onto the headstock, because I do not like signature guitars, or I don't like signature guitars that tell you they're a signature guitar. If I got this one with the Mark Holcomb on the truss rod cover, I can swap the truss rod cover and then it's no longer a signature model. The reason I want to get one of these guitars is I love the pickups, the Seymour Duncan Alpha and Amiga sets. Now the Alpha and Amiga set RRP price is about £270. I'm thinking I'd rather spend another 500 quid or £550 and get the guitar with them in than pay £270 for a pair of pickups, to be honest with you. And I do love this guitar. I love everything about it. I love the flat 20-inch radius, I love the ebony fingerboard, I love the bird inlays, I love the pickups, I love the sound, I love everything about it. I love the tuners and I love the bridge. And now this one you'll notice has Spurzl USA locking tuners installed. Not stock, but great tuners all the same. I'd be quite happy with stock tuners on mine. So why has this guitar come in? Well, the lad saw my PRS Mark Holcomb videos. He were looking for a guitar tech. He drove all the way from North Yorkshire, from Selby, is it Selby in North Yorkshire? Is it North Yorkshire? Up near York or somewhere. He saw my video, thought that's the bloke I want to do my guitars. The guy's also a Christian like me, so why is he not going to want to do that? So he saw me, contacted me, he said, can I bring it down for a setup because it just doesn't play right. So what we're going to do is, I've already noticed that the nut slots, it has had a replacement nut, the correct 6643 Tusk nut. I don't know if that's the right number, don't quote me on that. Is that the right nut installed, but there is a little bit of chipping around the nut area, and the nut slots have not been deepened. So the action above the first fret is way too high. That is going to cause tuning problems, intonation problems. I've been across with a fret rocker, tested the frets seem okay. There is one or two with a slight bit of high, a little bit high. I won't know until I have taken the strings off completely, or I've got the neck absolutely straight. And I can also see that we need a proper setup across the saddles, the radius of the saddles or radius of the bridge there. So, I'm going to give it a complete setup. I'm going to get the strings loose, in fact I'm going to get the strings off, and I am going to set the neck straight. I'm going to go across the frets, check the frets. I imagine in this you probably just need a regular setup, nothing major, not expensive at all, but what a beautiful guitar. As these always are, it is made in Korea at the World Musical Instrument Company. Great company, been making guitars for years. They are the biggest Korean producer of guitars, and they have been for a while. Any of these Korean factories are pretty good. My personal favourites are World Music, these, and Samick. But Court used to be based there. I no longer buy Court guitars, we all know the reason for that. You also have a Cyan plant, Rira plant, which I don't know if that's alive anymore. They were making great guitars. Cyan, we know them over here as Shine guitars. Why Shine guitars don't get a better reputation than they have, I do not know. I love Korean guitars. I've been playing Korean guitars for over 30 years. This one is no exception. This is right up there. It's a fantastic spec guitar. Retail price round about £900. I would quite happily pay £750 for one if I get one in the sales. Maybe a little bit more if I get the right colour. And I'm looking every day on eBay to see if there's a used one comes up at a price I want to pay. A used one, I would like to think I'd get a version 2 used one for round about £550 clear. So on eBay, look to pay round about almost up to about £600 would be the furthest I would go, but it would have to be an absolutely exceptional condition with no scratches, no dings, nothing wrong with it. I'd have thought £550 for a used one would have been a fair enough price. So I'm going to keep looking for one, but I'm going to crack on with this guitar. I'm going to get the strings off, get the neck straight. I'm going to bring you back when I've got the fret rocker in my hand. I will show to you that we have the neck straight. We'll go across with a fret rocker and we'll see if any frets need attention. So stay tuned, I'll be back very soon. Right guys, I have the camera in just about the best position I can, pointing towards the guitar from where the window is, just about. We're just in front of the windowsill there. I'm going to show that we have the neck absolutely straight, not straight edge. You know, stranger to this device or this tool, basically it has notches that go over the frets. And we can make sure we have got the guitar exactly straight by ultram and truss rod, which I've already done by a 16th of the turn, just to get it absolutely flat. And now we've got the neck flat, we're going to go across with a fret rocker to ascertain and where if the frets are level or not. This has 4 sides, all varying lengths, and it enables us to just test 3 frets at a time. And as we progress across the neck, we alter the way we measure, so we always do 3 frets. And the reason we do 3 frets is, if one is high, this will rock. Now, you're thinking, is that really straight? How do you know that's straight? I know this is straight. This is laser cut and milled. Well, it's milled perfectly flat. Laser cut, absolutely straight. This is the expensive one. This is not your £4.50 tack you get off eBay from China. This is proper milled, proper laser cut from G&W out in Portugal. I think it's cost me about 15 quid. So I know this is straight, and this is one of my most used tools in the workshop, because we know I'm all about necks and frets. So bear with, just got a text I need to follow up on in a minute. So we're going to go across 3 frets at a time. Neck being, what I was going to say was the neck being the most important part of a guitar, because if the neck's straight and the truss rod works, then we know the guitar is going to be absolutely fine. But if the neck is not fine, the guitar will never be fine. Anyway, we're going to go across with a fret rocker. We're going to go across and test for high frets. So far so good. There you go, hear that rock? It means, and there, it means this fret in 2 positions, in the middle and this side, is high. This side is okay. Now what I do is I always test in 3 areas. The areas being the centre, the side closest to you, and the side furthest away from you. We just ascertain that this one on that side, there, and in the middle is high. So there are 2 areas on that 1 fret. We're going to keep going across, checking. A little bit high just on that far edge there. Not major, but still a high spot. Now we're going to turn over the rocker. That one in the middle. So we already have 4 high spots over 3 frets. I think this is probably going to need a skim and there across all of the frets. We already have 4 frets with high spots. on this one. So we already have 5 frets with high spots, so this guitar is going to need a complete fret level. I could not do these by hand, because if I alter one, if I shave some off this fret, it's going to alter the relationship with these 2 frets either side of it. So the best way, here you go, here's another one. Best way is to just skim across all of the frets, which is what we're going to do. Now, once we've skimmed across all of the frets, we're going to basically, if we have what you call a crown going this way, like an upside down D, and when we've got skim over top, we're going to flatten the tops. We need to get that crown back in. So it's quite a long-winded process. It takes a good few hours. That one again is high. People ask me, why do brand new guitars have high frets? And it's because I imagine these are, listen, these are put in by a machine that just presses them in, but it's not as precise as a man going over with a leveling file or a leveling beam afterwards. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frets with high spots. But this is absolutely normal nowadays, it seems. A little bit high there. You can go and get your guitar neck and frets plecked. It's a pleck machine. There's a computerized machine that levels all of your frets across the whole length. Got another high one there. Sorry, let me just, if I keep quiet, you're going to hear it. So as you can see, about half of the frets have high spots. There, just on the outside. Is it important to have your frets absolutely level with each other? Yeah, absolutely. Because when you start looking at getting your frets or getting your action low, if you have one high fret even by a tiny bit, you're going to start ringing out. If I have a high fret here, and I'm playing notes around here, this high fret is going to buzz from anywhere down this region. Same again if I have high frets here. So let's count the high frets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 frets with high spots. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check the neck again. Make sure it's absolutely level, which it is. There's no gap under there. And now I'm going to stay quiet and we're going to go across with the fret rocker and we're going to let you listen to the rock. High one there. High one there. High one there. There. So there you go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 high spots over 12 frets, I believe. So I'm going to recommend to the owner of this guitar, complete fret level, a little bit more expensive. I'm also going to mention that there's some excess glue on the nut in this area. So when he's put it in, he's pressed it in, the glue's come out the top. I'm going to carve some of that away because it looks a little bit untidy. I do like to put nuts on really tidily. I don't use excess glue. But anyway, I'm recommending that this guitar as a complete fret level with a setup. It's going to cost him in the region of £100. I'm sure he's going to be absolutely fine with that. It's about 5 hours work in there. We'll get his guitar back up to spec, get the frets leveled, get them recrowned, get them polished, and then we'll do a complete setup on the guitar, and we can send the client away happy. So, of course, the work was commissioned. So moving on with this guitar, I've prepped it ready for going on the neck jig. I've removed the nut, which wasn't so easy because there was a lot of glue on there, but I do have it removed. You'll see that underneath where the nut was originally removed, there was a little bit of damage underneath. There's a bit missing where that wood is showing there. What I do to remove the nut is I had to cut this side because there's a big blob of glue coming up the edge of the nut there and some glue down here. I had to cut through the glue with a blade. Basically I just tapped the nut off using the not straight edge and a fretting hammer. Just give it a couple of, in fact I gave it one tap and it flew straight off, so that was good. There is little bits of damage which the owner knows about just on the nut corner here on the far side, don't know if you can see it there, and also on this side there, which is a real shame because I'm always very, very careful removing a nut, because in the past I have damaged the area removing a nut, and now I use different methods. I would always recommend when removing a nut, if you're not going to be reusing the nut, cut the nut in half across its length using a hacksaw, and when you get close to the wood then crush it in on itself and it'll just crack in on itself, it'll just fall straight off. You will not be damaging the guitar. That is the best way. If you're going to remove a nut to replace, always go with that method. Otherwise, do as I say, or do as I recommend, cut the glue or the lacquer with a Stanley blade and just gently tap it till it comes off. If it's taken too hard a hit, you need to cut more glue. You have to be very, very careful. So what have I done? Well, I've taped up this end of the guitar using a very low tack 3M Scotch tape, which is going to protect the body from when I start filing frets later on. I've also taped the edges of the fingerboard ready for when I tape the frets. Because I'm going to tape the frets, leave the, well, I'm going to tape the fingerboard, should I say, and I'm going to leave the frets exposed. Now what I need to, the reason I've not done it now is I need to get this on the jig, and I need to make sure that this is absolutely level before I clamp it all off, because once I've got it all clamped in, then I can put the tape on, because once I've got it clamped in and got everything level, I know the guitar's not going to move on the jig, the neck specifically is not going to move on the jig. Then we get it taped up, then we go across and level them. We never level frets on a guitar until we've ascertained that the neck is absolutely straight and it is not going to move, because if we get anything wrong with this, we'll end up refretting the guitar, and that is a long-winded process and it's expensive. Well, it's not so much expensive, it's going to take you a lot of hours, and your potential loss of earnings is going to be quite high, because it's going to take you between 12 and 15, 16 hours to do a refret on a guitar, and we don't want to be going there. So we always make sure we always prepare well for anyway. This is to any guitar tech out there, or anybody thinking of taking up guitar tech in. Let me tell you something, never lift tools over a guitar, never do anything on your guitar and you have checked and checked again, and make sure you know exactly what you're doing. Research everything you are going to do, because it's the way I did, it's the way I started, and I researched everything. I've got all of Dan Erlewine's books up there, which I've not really read, I've skimmed through them, and I've watched thousands, and I watched thousands upon thousands of videos on YouTube. And even when I've not looked anything up, I've always found that I've always done it the recommended way, whether I've had guidance or not. Maybe I've just got that intuition for it. Maybe I've got good guidance from somewhere above. Or maybe, you know, I've just picked things up. I have seen things and forgotten that I've seen them. But anyway, whatever. When you're doing this kind of work, a person's or a client's guitar is a treasured instrument, and you must treat it as well, or if not better than your own. And I like to think that I do that. I had a guy call me the other day and he asked if I'd work on his Harley Benton. Do I work on anything as lowly as a Harley Benton? And I says every guitar that comes to me gets treated the same. I don't discern any difference between it's a £5,000 PRS or a Heritage or whatever, or a £55 second-hand Squire. It makes no difference to me. It gets the same level of service, and all my guitars do. Because at the end of the day, it is my reputation on the line, and I like to think that I have a great reputation. I want to uphold that reputation. So anyway, I'm going to move this guitar over to the jig. I've not used a jig for quite a while. We're going to get the guitar over there, get it all strapped in, get it all leveled off, then we can tape up and we can start getting these frets leveled. Welcome back, fret friends, and I'm quite away from the camera today because we have the guitar on the neck jig. And to explain the neck jig really quickly, it's a jig where I'm able to strap the guitar in so it's not going to move. I get the neck absolutely straight, then I support the neck with these steel rods, and once I've got it all strapped in, tied at this end, blah blah blah, and the steel rods all supporting, I then set these gauges heat these things to 0. And if we get any movement at all in this neck, these gauges will let me know. And there you go, that's how these work. I hope you can see from here, I've zoomed in quite a bit. So if we get any movement at all on this neck, these gauges will let me know, and then I'll get it back right before I do any work on it. So, why do we put it on a jig? Well, I want that neck absolutely straight and not moving while I level the frets. So what I do is, get it all strapped in, it's not going to move at all. Take the notched straight edge, once it's all strapped in where I need it to be, I put on the notched straight edge. We get the neck absolutely level, then we get supported and the dial set to 0. I think you know how that works now. So now I can work on the frets, get them level, knowing that the neck is not going to move. So we're going to get a precision leveling across the whole lot. This is the reason I don't tape up the, between the frets until the guitar is on the jig. So it's all set up on the jig. We're ready to level the frets almost, except we need to now tape up between the frets, the fingerboard, so we don't get any filings going under the frets where there might be a gap or anything. We don't get any filings on where we're not going to damage the fingerboard. So I'm going to get it all strapped up or taped up, ready to level, and I'll come back and I'll show you a little bit of the leveling process. Okay, fret friends, before I start leveling these frets, I'm going to check each area that I've marked off that it is still in need of leveling. And we'll take the fret rocker, and you may or may not hear this, I'll hear it because I'm right over it, you're a little bit far away, but here we go. I think we can hear that. I think the reason why it probably makes more noise on the longer bit of the fret rocker is because you're using a longer bit. So I think we can safely agree that over 13 frets, how many frets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 frets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 areas over 12 frets. And what I'm going to do is, before I go across with a levelling beam, which I'll slightly quickly introduce, this is a levelling beam, milled flat edge, 240 grit paper, 400 grit paper. 240 grit to remove the main amount of material, 400 grit to smooth it off and make it easier to polish later. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my flat number 4 file first, and this makes the job easier in the long run, and I'm just going to level. This file is flat, it's very fine cut, Swiss made by Valorbe, and I'm just going to, the fret that needs material removing, I'm going to remove material from that fret just by going forwards and backwards. I'm not going to move my hand out of the way. If you can't see, it's just the way it is. You can guess what I'm doing here. I'm just going left and right of this one fret. I'm letting these frets and these frets guide the file. I'm only really removing material from here, and this will remove more material than just sanding. And then what I shall do is check for level. Level in most places are barring that edge. Always wipe the file after one use so we don't get no filings causing scratches anywhere, and I'll concentrate just on this edge. And I'll try and show with one hand how I work this, and I'm just going either side of this fret. These frets are just guiders. So you guess how that works, and we're removing material from that one fret mainly. Once the resistance becomes less, I know we are now touching those frets and I need to stop filing. There you go. Still needs a little bit more on that edge. I could change over and just go that way, just with a swipe, come back again. And I think you'll find that this fret is now level, which it is. And I shall do for all of the frets that need attention. Right up the length of the neck, still a tiny bit there. Wipe, blah blah blah. Flat part of the file. Well, that's all, it's a flat file anyway. There you you go, and we'll test the next one, and that is now level. So that's it. We're going to do it for the rest of the frets. There. All the way up the neck. Once I'm satisfied that I've got these very, very close to level, or more or less level, we'll then put marker pen over all the frets, and we'll go across with the 400 grit paper. Once I've removed all of the black on top of the frets, which I'll come and show you anyway, it means all of the frets are level, and that part of the process is complete. So I've ran the file over all the high spots that I've marked off, and I've checked them, and they are now all level. Should be absolutely spot on now. So what I'm going to do is, on camera, I'm going to mark all the frets up. And we're going to go across the whole lot with the actual levelling beam. That one a little bit higher there. Tiny, tiny. There you go. Missed a bit. I can feel it. Just see. You can just feel a little bit of resistance. That should be fine now. So a little bit more. And there you go. I think that's just about it. We might still have some very, very tiny, minuscule high spots. What we're going to do is we're going to remove everything with the levelling beam in a second. Just checking the zero dials, they're still zeroed out, which is exactly how they should be. Now what we're going to do is, now we've levelled all of these high spots, if we go across with a levelling beam, it shouldn't take many strokes for us to remove all of this pen from all areas of all frets. And that will mean that all frets are level. I'll just let this dry in a second or two as well while I'm here. And it shouldn't take much to remove all of this pen, because these frets are as close to level as, well, if you're not level, I'll be surprised. I'm going to go across with just a 400 grit paper. No point using the 240 grit and scratching all the frets up. And it may look as if this is not going perfectly straight, it may wobble just a little bit. Don't worry about that, we're going to be keeping the radius regardless. So let the radius block do the work. I'm not pressing, I'm just guiding. A little bit of resistance up here, so I know I've got a high spot somewhere, but that's it now, all silver. And something I like to do is just turn the block over, radius round 180 degrees, and go and tip the opposite direction, just in case we've got a better piece of sandpaper on one end than the other. And there you go, and that is all of the frets level. Where everything is silver, you'll see there's a lot of dust at this area, so we've removed more of the top of the fret from this area, but that is really quite good. What we're going to do is we're going to clean off. See, all this dark areas here is where we've removed fret, and there's quite a lot at this end. I hope you can see that every single one of these frets now has a silver top, and that means all of the frets are now level. You can go across with the rocker and check every area. I already know that these are level because this is what I do, it's my job. It's my job to know these things. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. Frets are now level. Next part of the process is, where these frets are now flat on the top, we need to recrown them. I'll show you exactly what that is in a moment once I've checked these frets. But these frets are level. Just realised there's a 24 fret guitar. I had to charge a bit more for 24 frets, didn't I? Because most guitars are 21 or 22. Let's not quibble over a couple of frets. But very, very important to get all of the frets level. So you've got one high fret, it'll knock everything else out of kilter. You will get fret buzz. And if you have one high fret there, virtually everything behind it is going to buzz. Get one high fret there, virtually everything at this end is going to buzz, especially around this area. So get them all level. Don't forget we're going to be playing with a thicker string on this guitar. And we're going to be playing with a heavier gauge of strings. Well, that's what I just said, heavy gauge of strings, but we need a little bit more relief in there. We're not getting as low an action as we normally would, but it's because we're playing in a drop tuning with fat strings. It means they're going to vibrate more. Anyway, more about that when we get to that part of the process, the setup. Next, what I'm going to do is, frets are now flat. We're flatten the tops. Only the top, we're not completely flat. We are a bit crowned, but we want to get that full crown back in. These are flattened out a bit on the top, you've got a bit of the crown. We're going to re-crown them completely. We're going to make as little area as possible, about 1/4 millimetre, where the string touches the fret. At the moment, we're about 1 millimetre, some of them are about 1 millimetre wide. We need to re-crown them. We've lost a little bit of height, maybe 1/5 of a millimetre. Probably not as much as that, probably 1/10 of a millimetre off the whole lot. That may still be a little bit of a liberal guess there. But we've certainly lost some area off each fret, even if it's only even if it's a 20 millimetre, we still need to re-crown them all. So to do that, I'm not going to leave the guitar on here. I'm going to re-crown on the setup bench over there. So I can now remove the guitar from the jig. Now that I'm happy that those frets are level, which they are. Blah blah blah. Let me just zoom out and you'll get to see this. And when I strap in, I always put protectors over it so we don't mark the body anywhere. And there you go, that should pull out, and it's not for some reason. Brilliant. I know why, there you go. And there you go. We'll remove this side, down here, blah 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 blah, and the guitar should now be free, and it is. That's it, we're going to put the guitar aside a moment. We're going to set up the crowning bench, and we're going to get those frets re-crowned. So it's that time of day that I'm already losing the light, so I'm going to quickly crown one fret just to show you how it works. I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera. I'm going to do this one, and hopefully you will see I've covered it in dark pen. We know that the frets are now all level, and I'm going to use 3 different files. Triangle file with 3 edges, all the same cut. It's quite a coarse cut with ground flat edges, and with the ground flat edges it means I'm not going to cut into a fingerboard because it's super smooth, so we're not going to damage the fingerboard, but it's why we tape up anyway. I'm going to use that one, which is coarse, this one which is a finer cut, again 3 edges with ground flat edges there, much smoother cut, and I'll finally use my profiling file which cuts the groove itself. By crown I mean what we're doing is we've flattened the top of the frets going that way, and we're going to put that crown back in. It's really easy to explain. I could just use this one, but I don't like to use that because these are much more accurate, and I've always used these from the day I started crowning files. I always use these files, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to file, I'm going to start vertical, and on the far side of the fret I'm going to lean the file over towards the camera until we start making that arc back in the file. And when I come to doing this side, I'm going to arc away from the camera. So we're going to build up that curve or crown. Really simple. I have 24 frets to do, so it takes quite a while. The cut is made on the forward stroke. Always clean the file after one use. Come to the other side and do the same again. Lean it, arcing it away from the camera. We're now, again, a thin black line. We need to make that line really thin, about 1/4 millimetre. I've changed file, gone to the finer cut, and we are now building that crown. And that is beautiful. That line is now about 1/4 millimetre, just over. We're going to finish off, always clean file, and all we're going to do now is use this one just to remove those burrs to shape the fret. And that is one fret recrowned. I've got 23 more to do. I'm going to crack on, get the others done. Once that's done, I'm going to move over to the polishing table and we'll start polishing these frets. When we polish a fret, we don't make it shiny, we remove all the scratches we are putting in. That still needs a little bit more work, that one, because that line is not as thin as I would like. That's it a bit thinner, so I'm just going to go across again. And there we are, and that is beautifully thin now. I'm happy with that. Always wipe the file before using. Remove any little bits of filing we've got there. And that's it. When it comes to polishing, I'll be polishing with 5 different grits of sandpaper, going up from 800 grit through to 2500 grit, finishing off with steel wool. I'm not going to film that because I want to get this guitar done tonight, and I'm not filming when the light is not so good. So if you want to check back how I polish frets, you can skip back any of my videos, go back 1, 2 or 3 videos at the most. I guarantee you will see me polishing frets. Right then people, I have a camera set up so I can just show you a little bit of fret crowning, and I'm going to zoom in just a little. I'm not going to do many, I've already done this many. How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to show you how I get on. Always, we have a clean cloth ready to wipe the file. It's a matter of, and I'm not going to explain it because I've explained it all before, I'm just going to work and you can watch. And this file is just going to take off this edge and come this side to take off this edge because it's an angled file. Then we're going to get a thin black line down the centre of the fret, and we're going to angle the file over until we get a nice thin black line down the centre. And that's the point of contact between the top of the fret and the string. It's a nice thin black line down the centre there. Clean file again, come back in, make that line just that little bit thinner, and there you go. You can actually see how thin that line is. And I'm going to finish off with the curved file, just bring it back over. And you'll see how I have the body of the guitar taped up, so if I do hit this area with the file, I'm going to hit the paper and I'm not going to damage the guitar. I'm not going to hit the guitar anyway. And that is it. And that is how you crown a fret. It doesn't take long because I didn't remove a lot of material from these. Once crowned, I'll check that I've not removed too much material, check that it's still straight, and I'll go back one and forward one, and that is it. So you can watch me work for a little while. How's that for you? Get the cloth there, and I'm just going to do a couple just to give you an idea. This is the easy part. The time consuming part is the well, a lot of setup to do, but your time consuming part is the doing the polishing. That takes a good couple of hours. Cleaning the file, always. And there you go. And that's 2 done. I'll do one more. Clean the file. Check the fret first. Check. There you go. Still level. All we have now is the height, is where that black line is. We've not reduced any height at all because we kept the black line intact. And there you go. Absolutely perfect. Just do one more for good measure. Then I'll get to the easy part now because we don't have a body in the way. I'm using these fingers just as a guide in case I slip with the file. It only cuts on the forward stroke anyway, so this is probably a better way to do it. And there you go. That's another one done. That's 3 frets recrowned. Like I say, I've not removed a lot of material from the top of the frets anyway, so it's very easy to recrown. This just removes any burrs, gives a nice rounded contour or an even contour, because you can go a little bit uneven with one of these files. Not that you'd see with the naked eye, but that's just, you know, it's nice to get it right. And there you go. I have, how many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got 13 left to do. Yep, correct. Well, 12 because I did one last night, didn't I? And I've got some good news. I've actually bought one of these guitars today. There was one on eBay for £500. I made the guy an offer, which he refused. And he refused to meet me in London. He lives in Ascot. And blah, blah, blah. And I thought I'll leave it a few days. And he contacted me today. He says, look, I'm thinking about your offer. And I've actually got one for £450. And I'm driving to London next week. I'm going to have a day out in Camden with my wife. And I'm picking up the guitar and I've paid £450 for it. And it's in mint condition, like this one. So I'm really, really happy. I paid him a deposit. And he's holding the guitar for me, and I'm going to pick it up from Wardour Street next Thursday in London. So, absolutely elated. I now have one of these guitars, and I paid half of retail. I was well prepared to go and buy a brand new one in the sales at Christmas time. Anyway, here we go. It's half of the frets done, 11 this time, one at the end, we've got 12 more to do. Showing you how we crown the frets there. Check where it's level, yes it is. Go back one, check it's still level, yes it is, and go forward one, check it's level, yes it is. Means all these files are perfectly flat, level, and we've also got a perfect crown on each one. 12 more to do. I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll come back and show you a little bit more when we move on to the polishing. Rather than show you the polishing stage, which I'm not going to do because I show it on most of my videos, I'm going to explain how we polish the frets. We now have them levelled and re-crowned, all 24 frets. So we know frets are all level with each other, they're crowned perfectly. Now what we need to do is, because we've had to file and crown them, we've got scratch marks in there, file marks and blah 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 blah, and we need to polish the frets up. And polishing doesn't just mean put a shine on them, it also means remove the scratches. So to do that, what we do is, I personally, it's my personal way of the way I do it, is I go through 6 different grits of wet and dry sandpaper, polishing across the fret. Basically, by across I mean polishing this way and this way, with 6 different grits of sandpaper. Now the grits I go through, I start at 800 grit, and I go through to 2,500 grits. You've got 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, and finally 2500. Blah 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 blah. There you go. Once that's done, I will finish off with steel wool, and it brings them to a nice beautiful glass-like shine. All the scratches will be removed and they'll look absolutely fantastic. So that takes a while. That basically you're doing, if you're doing 24 frets with 6 grits of paper, that's already 150 minus, it's 144 polishes. Then you've got another 24, which is 168, because you're going with the wire wool as well. So you're doing 100 and, what is it, what did I say, 178? 178 you're polishing 178 frets. It takes a while. Say you spend, well, a minute on a fret. 178 minutes is 3 hours. You know what I mean? That's 3 hours non-stop. It is a lot of work. So I'm going to crack on that. I'm going to do that on the other bench over there. I'll get the guitar firmly holding a vise so it doesn't move, and I'll get the polishing done. Once that's done, I can glue the nut back on, get some strings on, then I'm going to cut the nut, then we're going to set the action on the guitar, set the bridge, get it set up, get the string stretched in, and it will be ready. All being well, it is, I don't know what time it is now, it's early afternoon. All being well, this will be done by 4 o'clock this afternoon, another 3 hours, so check back soon. So I have finished polishing the frets, and there you go. I've just peeled off the tape, and I think you'll agree that they look really, really good. As mentioned earlier, I went with 6 different grits of sandpaper, wet and dry, blah 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 blah, that being the grits. 800 through 2500, so you've got 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, 2500, blah 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 blah. That's all spent. Get rid of all that. Finished off with steel wool. What remains to be done now is I'm going to treat the fingerboard with lemon oil, or mineral oil as it should be called. It's just mineral oil formulated for ebony and rosewood fingerboards with a hint of lemon in there. Lemon oil itself would destroy your wood. This is actually mineral oil with a hint of lemon to make it smell nice, especially formulated by the companies. They know what they're doing. And that really is it. Then I'm going to fit the nut. Once the nut is fitted, we can get some strings on and get it set up. It's as much video as I'm going to do on this guitar today, because I'm starting to lose a light. It's about 3 PM. It's already getting a little bit dark, and so I'm going to crack on, get the nut on, get some strings on, And I'm probably going to finish this guitar today. Well, if not today, I'll get it finished in the morning. If I don't finish it today, which I probably doubt now, because I've got 3 guitars coming in any minute now, and I'm going to have to ascertain those and appraise those while the guy is here, because he's bringing me 3 guitars, so I'm going to check the lot out. So I'm probably done on this for today. I think I will get it finished in the morning. So if you don't miss anything, brilliant. If you do miss a little bit, you're only missing me putting the nut back on. But I'll show a little bit more work. I'll show the final part of this video will be coming tomorrow morning. Good morning, fret friends. It's Monday morning. I have a PRS in front of me, looking absolutely beautiful. All I need to do now is put some strings on. I've glued the nut on, as you can see. I'm going to put some strings on. We're going to slightly reshape the nut. I will cut the slots a little bit deeper than they are using my Hosco nut files. You've seen me use these before. Get some strings on, get the strings to tension, and we can get this finally set up. I may come and show a little bit of cutting the nut slots. It's really simple, but if not, I'll just explain it right now. There is the nut. You see the nut slots. They are cut a little bit high. So what I will do is get the right file to match the groove, because these files don't cut a V, they cut a perfect semicircle according to the string gauge. So I will reshape these nut slots, cut them a little bit deeper, get them to where I need them to be, get the guitar strung up, and I will come back and show you the results. The strings we are going with are Ernie Ball Beefy Slinker, which is an 1154 set, perfect for this guitar myself. 1052 set would do as well. Anything from a 1052 to a 1256 I would imagine would be okay in a drop C. Myself, I prefer to go just that little bit lighter. I'd have thought 1154 is going to be just about perfect. So I'll come back when I've got it done. Okay guys, so cutting the nut, and I've got the strings on, got the strings to tension, and these nut slots are probably 1mm higher than they ought to be. Bear with me a second, I need to get that. And that was the owner of this guitar, just texted me letting me know it's going to be at 11 o'clock, which is absolutely perfect because it's about 9:30 and it'll take me 30 minutes to do this. So, back to the nut. And these slots are about we are very, very high over the first fret. We're in almost 1mm high. So what I'm going to explain how I bring these down. And what I first do is, I'm looking to be from this side to this side between 0.2mm here, maybe 0.3, and between 0.3 and 0.4 here. Now if I was playing a guitar tuned in to concert pitch, standard, E standard, I'll be going probably 0.2 to 0.3, but because we're down tuning, and we're definitely going to play in heavy, I'm going to go a little bit higher above the first fret, but not high enough that it's when we finger or play a bar chord, we're not going to have the first fret sharp. Say for instance if this was an E, we'd be playing an F chord. If your slots are too high, when you finger that chord or bar there, your notes are sharp because your slots are too high. So what I'm doing is I've already done this one, and we've got it, what is this one, 0.4mm. We've got it lower than that, and I'll show you how I do that. I'll just loosen the string slightly, and I'll take the correct file, which is the closest I've got to a 54 is a 46, because I've got a 1046 set of files. So what I would do is, in this instance, as I'm carving, I would carve left, carve right, that's probably backwards on the camera, just to widen that slot. And once I'm down to where I think I ought to be, string back in. We're looking for a C note here because we're going to tune to drop C. And we're just about there. We'll be a little bit sharp because when you lay a guitar down it'll be sharp, and I'm just going to play that note. It's giving us a good rattle on 0.4, but it should ring clear on 0.3. And that is where I'm going to set. Beautiful. So now I've got the other 5 to do. Now this side I'm going to go, we're just above, we're about 0.35 there. I'm going to set this one at 0.25, but I'm going to work this way. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to measure this one. I'm going to start with a 0.4 again. That's 0.4 on the millimeters. Blah blah blah. And I can see that we are massively high. We are over 1mm high there. So it's a matter of loosen the string. I think that string will be a, tell you what it is in a minute, 54, 42. don't have a 42. I'm not going to go with 46 because it's too wide, so I'm going to go with a 36. And I'm going to widen again. And all I'm going to do is carve in, making sure I keep that break angle. So I'm going to lean it slightly back, putting the break angle where the knot is already going, where the string's bent over. And I'm just going to carve into that knot. And you can see how this works. And if, yeah, wrong side, sorry. Just check on 36 again. What I don't want to do is I don't be digging into the guitar with this either, so be very careful. And left and right again, just to widen that slot a little. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to go too deep, because if we go too deep, we've knackered the knot and we've got to replace it. So, because we're in a drop C, this note will be a G. Because basically we're going to D standard with a dropped, we're dropping the D to a C. And we'll check again. And I'm still massively high, they're still half a millimetre too high. So we'll just keep going until we get close. We don't need to be so gung-ho, we don't go mental. Like I say, if you go too deep, you've got to replace a knot. And we don't want to be doing that. Looking for a G note. We'll check again. And we are getting there. Still go a little bit further. So I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to get all these 5 done. I may or may not carve the top of a knot once I've done it. It depends how deep these grooves are. I don't want them that deep that we're losing the strings. I do like them to be half and half normally. But we'll see how we are. And I will come back and let you know. If I do carve some off the top, I'll come and show you how I do that also. I've just moved the camera and I really hope you can see this, because I've done these 4 strings, the lower 4 strings. I'm on the higher 2, and this is not just for these 2 strings, but if you can see here how much higher this string is it needs to be. There is over a millimetre. Look at this. I really hope the camera's picking that up, because I've had to cut right into this knot and drop this each string by at least a millimetre. So it shows whoever put this knot on didn't really know what they were doing. Because if you're a millimetre too high on here, when you press that note where it should be, if this is a C, that's going to be a C sharp. It's supposed to be. This should have been closer to a D. It's going to be a quarter of a semitone high, easily. Now when we play a C, and we think of this note, we should get a C sharp. And that's right, that's where we need to be. But look at the height of this off this first. This is where I need to be, 0.25 millimetres from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. And that, you've got a good 1.5 millimetre difference there. Same with this one. Just wanted to show that it's very important to get your nut slots at the right depth. And like I say, from this one I'm going from 0.2 to 0.3, probably a little tiny bit higher, 0.225 to 0.325. I wouldn't want to go really much lower than that, even though I could go lower. I don't like completely taking the mickey with action. I always go within tolerances and not too low, because you go too low, you messed it up, you have to replace a knot. I don't have another knot. It's a 3-day wait to get one, then you've got to do all the work again. So, and I'm going better than safe tolerances. I mean, I'm still cutting low. It's just because we're playing a heavier gauge string and we're playing a heavier type of music, I don't want anything that's going to cause any rattle anyway. I'm being a little bit conservative, but I think to err on the side of caution is alright. Not that I'm a wimp, but to err on the right side of caution is a good thing, especially when setting up guitars. This is the 4th PRS Holcomb I've had in the workshop, and I set them all up exactly the same, and I've had absolutely no complaints in the past, so I know it's going to be absolutely perfect. And now we are exactly where we need to be. And I'm hoping the camera is stayed in focus. We have got these strings really low. Apparently when you press down on the 3rd fret, you're supposed to get a piece of paper between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. I don't even know if you could on this one. Just so brilliant. Let's try and make a D shape here, and we'll see. Play the full drop C chord. no rattle anywhere. Absolutely beautiful. So that is where we need to be. I am going to tidy up the top of the nut. So I'm not going to remove the strings, I'm going to loosen the strings enough, go back on the neck bench over there, which I use for cutting nuts, and I'm going to file over the top of the nut, reshape the edges, just to bring the top of the nut down a little. I could leave it like that. It does look a little bit untidy, so I am going to do that. Once that's done, in fact before I do that, I'm going to set the action, set the radius on the bridge at the other end of the guitar, then I'm going to loosen the strings, I'm going to finish it up. I'm not going to show any of that work, I will show the finished work. A couple more things I don't normally show in a setup, and I've changed the angle again of the camera. Don't worry about this cloth at the end of the guitar, I'll explain why that's here in a moment. Right, what I'm going to do now is, now I've cut the nut right and I've set the action on the 12th fret where I need it to be on the top and bottom strings only. There's a reason for that, I'll explain in a minute. I've got the knock straight edge on the neck, and I'm going to set the truss rod where I need it to be. And I've just about got that where I need it. I like about 0.3 on the 9th fret on a down-tuned guitar. I might still be a little bit high looking at it with my eye. And I am, so I'm just going to tighten the truss rod a little bit more. Give it a moment to settle, and I'm going to check again. Just about there. Just one more, another 16th of the turn, and I think that is exactly where I need it to be. And I'm going to measure at the 9th fret, and I want 0.3 mil, and I'm going to just put my hand there in case that falls over. Still a little tiny bit high. I'm going to go a little bit more, go back in, and I will go. Here you go, how's that? Is that having any effect on anything? It's not moved, so I think we've just got that loose. Sometimes you just need to give it a couple of goes to get your setting to settle. I'll just saw it visually move. And that, I think, my friends, is where I need to be. Now I can feel a good resistance there. Maybe the truss rod was a little bit too loose, I had it all slackened right off. Trying to get 0.3 mil about here. We can hear that, that's perfect. That's exactly where I want the relief to be. Could go a little bit less, but I certainly don't want any more. That is beautiful, looks good in my eyes. So the reason, now I've set the truss rod and the relief in the neck perfectly where I need it to be. So we can now go away, do away with that, do away with the feeler gauge. And I'm going to move the camera again, and now what I need to do first, let me move this out. You're quite a distance away from me, so you may not see it all, but I'm just going to check the action at the 12th fret on both strings. And we're too low now. Bottom string or the bass E, so I'm just going to bring up the action on the saddles, and I'll explain this in a moment. It doesn't look very pretty for you right where you are right now because you're not seeing anything, but just bear with me a second and I'll explain why in a moment. Right, okay, I would like to be about the bottom of the string to be about 1.75 millimeters above the 12th fret, and it's still a tiny bit low. I'm going to set it there for a reason, because that's where the action is going to be on a down-tuned guitar. It's where I like it, and I want about 1.5 millimeters on the first or thinnest string. So just bear with me while I get to around about there. Right, that's 175, just over, and that's 1.5, just over. That's absolutely perfect. So I've now cut the nut slots to where I want them to be. I've set the neck where I need it to be, under tension. I've got 0.3 millimeters of relief on the 9th fret. And now I'm going to set the radius of the saddles. I can do away with that because I don't need it. Now what have I done with those? I've just had them in my hand 4 seconds ago. And there we go. So I'm going to take the 20-inch radius. I'm going to move the camera for this, then you can see what I'm doing. We're going down now to the bridge saddles. There you go, you get a good view there. So, radius gauges. We're 20-inch radius, so we've got a 28-inch radius gauge. What I'm going to do is go through the centre, turn it around, go under the strings, and what I need to do now is I need this radius to match the radius of the neck and the radius of the knot. So what I'm going to do is always under the strings, and I want the tops of these strings, or the bottom of these strings, sorry, to rest on this radius gauge, and some of them are too low now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them all higher than we need to be, and that's good, and this one's a little bit low. And once I've set these, the radius on the saddles, or the arc going that way across the length, this arc will match the arc of the radius on my neck and the arc of the radius on the knot, and it means every string will be the same distance away from the frets. And when your frets are level, your arc is right everywhere, and your guitar is set up perfectly. Right, this one's just touching. So what I'm going to do now is, I've not had to touch the first and sixth strings because they are set. You've already seen me set those. So what I'm going to do now is drop each string onto the radius gauge, starting with that one. That's now on there. That's now on there. You see what I'm doing? That's now on there. Last one, fifth string. And there you go, that's perfect. So now, the arc, or the radius, now matches the neck radius and the knot radius. You can't see the knot at the moment. What I'm going to do now is, because some of these are a bit skew width, I'm going to alter them just by eye, and where I drop this one, an A for the turn, I raise this one, an A for the turn, just so we're level. There you go. Same again, I'm going to drop this, 16th for the turn, higher this one, 16th for the turn, and same with this one, 16th down, 16th up. And now I know I've kept that radius, but all the saddles are looking pretty neat. Just need to alter this one slightly. I'm going to bring this up, maybe a 16th, and drop that a 16th. So we've maintained the radius, but we've levelled off the saddles and made them look pretty neat. That one's still a little bit high. I can just bring that one down just a notch, and there you go. And maybe just by eye, this one seems a little bit low. If it seems a little bit low by eye, it probably is just a little bit, and that's it, just a gentle turn. And there you go. I'm really happy with how that looks. Now some of the notes will be a little bit sharp. You can do a lot of this by eye. Once you've got it close to where you need it to be, you can do it by eye. That still looks high to me. But you will find the higher, the thinner strings, you can get away with a little bit lower action on there. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I have cut the nut, I've set the neck, I've set the action at the 12th fret, and I've set the radius on the saddle. So all I need to do now is I'm going to get the guitar back on the other bench. I'm going to file the nut down as I mentioned earlier, and pretty soon this guitar will be finished. Just going to check the intonation before I do anything, so I'm going to retune the guitar, check the intonation. Once the intonation's done, I can get back, we can cut the nut, and the job will be a good one. And here we are guys, the guitar is finished and it looks and plays absolutely fantastic. I have the owner in the corner there hiding away from the camera. But here we go. So until next time, fret friends, what can I tell you? Now let's just recap what we've done on this guitar. It came in, we've given it a complete fret level, complete setup, cut the nut, and I think that's just about it. So as always, till next time, fret friends, be good to each other, and I will see you soon.